seated up tall in your seat or on the ground, heart over hips, head over heart. Hands come to rest on the lap, either palms down to ground down or palms up to give and receive energy if you feel you've got a little extra to give today. Eyes can close if that's comfortable. If not, a soft gaze just beyond your legs is appropriate. We'll start with 3 cleansing breaths. In through the nose, shoulders rise up towards the ears, and an audible sigh out through the mouth, shoulders drop away. And let the breath continue just in and out through the nose if that's available. Taking a moment here to arrive. Let go of everything that came before and everything that's to come up after. Become present to yourself here in this moment. Here in this space. And begin to allow sounds into your awareness. Perhaps a plane flying overhead. Or a bird singing outside your window. Allowing all sounds in, all part of this moment, this experience. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. And feel the weight where your body makes contact with the ground below you. Weight of your hands on your knees. Begin to scan your body from head down towards toes. Checking in for any places of tightness or sensitivity. Any restlessness or fidgeting. And taking note to work into those places that call out for your attention throughout our practice here today. And we'll take that awareness from the body, Annamaya Kosha, to the breath, Pranamaya Kosha, and energy levels of ourselves. Noticing energetically where you are at in this moment on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being exhausted, fatigued, ready to crawl into bed. 10 being so full of energy it's hard to sit still. Observe the breath. No need to change it. Just observing the inhalations, exhalations, and whatever space in between. And shifting the awareness up to the mind, allowing thoughts and feelings to arise naturally and freely. No need to engage with these thoughts. Just watch them from a distance. Like a movie being projected onto a screen, the story goes on without our direct participation. And just notice, what are the quality of the thoughts today? Do they have a positive or a negative tilt to them? Are they harping on some long, drawn-out story? Or are they fragments of thoughts, flashes of images? Not good or bad, not right or wrong, just something to notice. Let your attention return back down to the breath. This time actively expanding the breath. Every inhale sips in a little more air. And every exhale lets something more go. Inhale fills belly like a balloon, expanding, ribs expand. And exhales, pull ribs in, pull belly button in towards spine, using some muscular effort for that exhale. Full belly breathing here, expanding on the inhale, contracting on the exhale. Space between top and bottom teeth as the jaw hangs heavy. And we'll start our Ujjayi pranayama, our victorious breath, ocean sounding breath. Bringing a slight constriction to the throat, so as you can hear your inhale and exhale, almost like you're trying to fog up a piece of glass or a mirror in front of your nose. Allow your breath to be long and slow, deep and long. If the mind wanders, bring it back to the breath. On your next exhale, release any constriction in the throat, any effort from the breath, returning to a natural pace. You might give the throat a gentle swallow to release any tension. Hands come to meet at heart center, palms pressed together in Anjali Mudra. No space between the fingers, and the thumbs press into the sternum. Consider here setting an intention or a dedication for your practice today. It might be the sankalpa, the heart's desire you've been working with all year, your resolution that you may have set back in January, or something new might inspire you to show up to your mat today. We'll seal that intention with the sound of Om. The first first we'll take a cleansing breath. Allow your hands to release to your lap, chin drops towards chest. And on an inhale, right ear rolls over towards right shoulder. Exhaling, chin to chest, and left ear rolls towards left shoulder. Just allowing the head to gently rock side to side. The next time, the head rolls over to the right ear, right ear over right shoulder, right hand comes to land on top of the head, and left arm reaches away. And we'll release the left hand down towards the ground, fingertips just grazing the ground, just the weight of the hands enough, no need to pull down on the head. And we'll give the head a little nod, yes, to find the sweetest part of that stretch. Just breathing here in stillness. We'll release the hands back down to the lap, chin rolls down through your chest, and over to the left side. Left hand comes to land on top of the head, nice and gentle, and right arm reaches away, gently floating that hand down to the ground, fingertips just grazing the earth. We'll give the head a little nod, yes, to find where the nicest, sweetest part of that stretch is. Just breathing fully here. Releasing the hands back down to the lap. Chin rolls down through center, bring it up to neutral, and begin to roll the shoulders forward. We'll roll the shoulders back. Beginning to open up this space in the upper back, chest, and shoulders. the stillness here, we'll inhale, the arms sweep up overhead, and exhale, bend over to the right. Left arm reaching over. Inhale and up through center. And exhale over left. Allowing the breath in to rise and out to bend. That opposite hip stays glued to the ground. And the next time you bend over to the right, you can lay it on the forearm or just on the hand. Really reach far with the left arm and then just let the hand hang over. And the inhale, press into this left rib cage side, opening up all of these muscles, the side ribs, the intercostal muscles, and breathing deeply into that side body. Exhale is a bit of release. Bring it all the way over to the left. Reach, reach, reach with the right hand. And then release the arm up over the head. Inhale is really a deep press into that right side body. And the exhale is a gentle release. We'll bring it all the way up and over. Sweep the left arm in front. Right arm follows. This little free movement here in the spine. So we're just always working to open up new spaces in the spine. Surrounding the rib cage, new places to breathe into. And we'll change directions, sweeping over to the left. Regulate. I like the art on your website, very cool. Thanks, Greg. Greg 887. Appreciate it. It's kind of like my life's work so far. All of my yoga is basically so I can sit in stillness and paint. Because I'm a very restless person. I like being in movement. Alright, back up to center. And exhale, it's a high twist to the right. Left hand lands on right knee, right hand lands behind you, chest opens to the side wall. Inhale, back up through center. And exhale over to the left. Connecting that to movement. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Greg, I'm at work, but listening to you is relaxing, so thank you. Oh, you are welcome. I'm glad that my voice is relaxing to you. I think quite a few people actually watch me while they're at work. I need posture reminders. I think that's actually pretty common. I think a bunch of people actually watch me at work and just remember to take deep breaths and sit up tall. I kind of love it. I totally love it, actually. When the hands come down to shoulder height, we'll wave out the hands, just warming up all the ligaments, tendons, muscles surrounding the wrists, fingers, kind of undoing all that texting and typing, drawing, or whatever other small repetitive movement you might do with the hands. Palms flip down, fingers wiggle from side to side. This is kind of our anti-carpal tunnel sequence. And then palms flip up towards the sky. Fingers are pressed back to the edge of your strength. Fingers spread wide, and we'll rotate the hands here, really pressing back. And just nice and gentle shaking off water. 3, 2, 1. All right. And let the legs come out in front. Spread and scrunch the toes. Just take a sip of water. My voice is kind of going. Probably because I yell every single day in class. Just wait, Greg. I know, I'll warn you. I'll warn you before it happens. It's not for another hour, but or half an hour. But so I've got some honey in my tea today. Gifted some blackberry honey, you guys, from a farm up in further northern California, and just so good inside this grapefruit green tea. Thanks for the early warning. Yeah, don't worry. Here's a half an hour warning. We do some releasing breath work, and it gets quite loud. The opposite of relaxing. So we've got the legs out in front. Spread and scrunch the toes. Roll out your ankles, waking up the lower body here. Change directions. So that's the thing, we're basically just getting all the clicks and cracks out of the joints early on, and just kind of taking a diagnostic of the body, just seeing if anything is hurting or feeling really good or stronger, or it needs some extra love or attention throughout the rest of our movement practice. Then we'll bend in the knees, feet come nice and wide, and just drop the knees side to side. So the feet are wide enough that the legs don't stack. Both knees can touch down to the ground. We're just warming up the hips here. And the next time the knees fall over to the right, bring the right hand in close to the body, left arm sweeps up, hips rise, chest rises. And the exhale, the hips touch down. We'll drop the knees over to the left. Hips rise, chest rise on the inhale. And exhale to shift sides. Following the speed of your body is determined by the length of your breath. Smoothing out the breath will help smooth out the movement. And the next time you're up here on the right side, big back strokes with the left arm. And we'll shift sides. Hips touch down, knees fall to the left. Hips and chest rise. And we'll do nice big back strokes with the right arm. So then hips touch down, knees come back over to the right. Hands come to frame this right knee for a tabletop pose. Hands under shoulders, knees below hips. And inhale, belly drops, chest and hips rise for cat pose. And exhale, rounding the spine, chin tucks towards chest, cow pose. Inhaling, belly drops, hands are pressing down and back, knees are pressing down and forward, using that grip to get a deeper arch in the spine. And exhale, rounding, hands press down and forward, knees press down and back. For better grip, deeper rounding in the spine. Once again, calibrating the speed of your body to the length of your breath. return back to neutral and work on our wrist push-ups that we've been working on. So, wrists are directly below the shoulders, and then using just the forearm strength, we lift up and lower back down. So the fingers never leave the ground. Just the palms are raising up. We're not using any momentum from the shoulders or anything like that. Or the hips. Everything's staying right where it started. So you're going to work up to 10 of these. We're already at 4. And if doing 10 of these is easy for you, or you feel like you're ready to move on to the next difficulty level, then you can just send your knees back a little bit further. A foot further, and then lift from there. I can't do it, I don't have the strength yet, but, and then from there, if you're like, yep, still easy, you can come into a full plank and work on those. Totally possible, I've seen people do it. But this is where I'm at, and that's super cool. Wherever you're at is super cool. Just the first 3 was like a big breakthrough for me when I got to 3. So now I'm just working towards an easy 10. Definitely not easy yet. 9, 10. All right, toes tuck under, sit back on the hips. No, sit the hips back on the heels. The toes tucked under for a nice foot stretch. You can interlace the fingers and just kind of wrist floss them here. All right, back to tabletop, and we'll flip the hands under. So you can do one at a time here, flipping the hand under so your fingertips are reaching toward or facing your knees. And then just notice here, you'd have to put a lot of weight here to flip the other hand over. If that's not happening, don't worry, just do one at a time, and I'll let you know when to switch. My fingers are spread wide. My fingers are actively pressing into the ground as well to get some of the weight out of the wrist. And then your next goal here is to straighten out the arms. And what I mean by that is, like, lightly you're here. You want to bring your arms all the way straight, and then the insides of your elbows, right, so that side, forward. So it's almost like you're opening a jar. Using your shoulder to open a jar. So this is the same actual movement that you want in your downward facing dog. You want your elbows pressing forward to open up, to broaden the space on your upper back. So that might be where your work is. You might be going from bent to less bent, or from bent to straight. Bent to straight, bent to straight. If you can easily straighten the arms out with the eyes of the elbows, the insides of the elbows facing forward, then you can work on pressing back just a bit. It's all nice and slow. There's no snapping movements. There's nothing fast happening. You're going to do some wrist resiliency with me. Next side. And same deal here. So you can go ahead and switch hands. If you've been doing the right hand this whole time, switch over to the left. Would you do a desk chair yoga video sometime? Yes, you are maybe the 3rd person to request chair yoga from me. So I'll have to, do you have a day specifically that would be good for you? I wonder. Like a day of the week. We might take a poll between like 3 people who've asked, and maybe we'll do like a Thursday special, or like a Saturday special, or something like that for chair yoga. Any weekday. Okay, cool. I stream every day at this time, so it'll be at this time. But I do record all of my videos, and yeah, and I just have them for private. I just have like the private links for people who tip, kind of thing. So I'll work it out. All right, we just got a couple breaths left here, my friends who are stretching out their wrists. I will try to make you a part of my morning routine. Well, you are very welcome here. I think you're super good energy. I think you'll fit right in. All right, so we're going to unflip the hand, toes tuck under, get off the hands, and then this is just like a little massage for the wrists, kind of moving your wrists however it would feel good. Just like rotate them around. So all this wrist resiliency stuff, we basically work on the wrist almost every day. It's gonna build up slow. There's no rush. There's no like competition to like get anywhere fast. It's just undoing a lot of the repetitive little movements that we do. We're undoing that, right? So it's like anti-carpal tunnel. Okay, great. So back to tabletop pose on your mat. How dark am I? Pretty dark. Pretty dark. Better? Yeah, a little better. Cool. We'll step the right foot up between the hands. Left toes tuck under. Extend the left leg long. Bring chat over so I can actually see you guys. Left toes tuck under. We're just going to rock forward and back with this left foot. This left heel to give a little stretch to the left calf. Right knee more or less stays over the right ankle. We'll release the knee to the mat. And then shoulders come up over the hips, arms sweep up overhead with a deep breath in. Anjaneyasana, exhale, hands release down. We'll extend the left leg long. Sending the hips up and back over the left knee. Ardha Hanumanasana. So inhaling through that low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Arms can stay down if that's more stable for you, or they can reach up. And exhaling through Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. Just got two more like that. We'll stay here in this half split just for a couple breaths. You can point and flex the foot or rock it side to side like windshield wiper, side to side, working into that hip. Full breath here. Bend into that right knee. Left toes tuck under, pressing the knee up. Step the right leg back, plank pose. Then release the knees to the ground. Left foot steps up between the hands. Left knee over left ankle. Right toes tuck under, pressing that heel back, lifting the knee. We'll press it forward and back, getting a stretch in the right calf. If you're not feeling a stretch, just straighten out your leg even more so the back of the leg is pressing towards the sky. We'll gently release the right knee to the mat. Left knee's over left ankle. Arms and chest come up over the hips for Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Deep breath in here. And exhale, hands come down, send the hips up and back for Ardha Hanumanasana, half split pose. Inhaling through low lunge, hips come forward and down, chest rises. Exhale, half split, hips get sent up and back, and it's a fold over that extended leg. Couple more like this, following your breath. In to rise. Out to fold. In to rise. Out to fold. We'll hold it here in this half split. So see if your hips are past your knee and your right knee is kind of bent, like almost you're sitting down towards the heel. Then just bring your left heel forward, drag it forward, and then pull it back using the hip strength. Left hip pulling back, right hip pulling forward to square out the hips. And you'll have more space to play here without this back leg doing all the work. You might point and flex the foot. Windshield wiper the left foot side to side. And we've got a breath or so here in stillness. Bend in that left knee, right toes tuck under. Send the left foot up between the hands. Heel toe the feet out to the edges of the mat. And we'll come to a deep bend, a deep squat. So light head, heavy hips. And up to the fold. Light hips, heavy head. Squat. And straighten the legs out. Bend the legs. Straighten the legs. Couple times like this. We'll meet with the legs straightened out. There can still be a bend to them. Just the hips are light and the head is heavy. Give the head a nod, yes. Give the head a shake, no. Grab opposite elbows to create a frame for the head. Giving the upper body a bit of a sway. Go side to side. Once again, the knees can be bent a little or a lot for ragdoll. Coming to stillness in the center, we'll heel toe the feet together and roll it up one vertebra at a time. Heavy head comes up last. Arms sweep up when you get there. And exhale, hands to heart center. Right knee pulls in towards the body using just core strength, just that hip flexor strength. Roll that back a bit. Gaze is straight ahead of you, looking at a point that won't move. And then exhale, hinge on the left hip. As the head comes down, the right leg gets sent back. I love that stretch, but I've always been told not to bounce like that. Is it just because I'm a beginner, you think? With the forward fold and I was bouncing. Oh, like with my head? That feels really good for me. You have to have nice bent knees, so if the fear was that you were gonna like strain your hamstrings, like that's totally a possibility. Yeah, if your legs are like straight, like locked out straight, But if you're keeping a nice bend to the knees, then you shouldn't have to worry about your lower back or your hamstrings. You'll just be, what's it called? Lengthening your upper back, like your upper body. Okay, so we've been here in Warrior 3 for a second, so let's just bend in the left knee and touch down. Yes, so if you're here, you're like bouncing, that's great, except if your knees are locked out, then that might like bring some strain here to your hamstrings or here to your lower back. Once you have a bend in the knee, the stretch becomes more about all of, like, from your hips up to your head, just releasing that, letting the weight of your head do the work and really letting gravity work for you. Versus when your legs are straight, all of the stretch is in the back of the legs and in the lower back. But stretch can turn to strain if you're like really like rocking out about it, which I love to do because I have really, really long hair, like past my hips, and it was all locked up, so it was really heavy. So I always love doing that. Cool. So we are here in this high lunge. Dope. Left knee over left ankle. Right heel is straight back behind you, pressing back through the heel, back of the knees pressing towards the sky. Left hip's pressing back, right hip's pressing forward. Shoulders up over the hips. Arms can reach up overhead. If your shoulders don't come up over the hips, you find yourself stuck here and you can't press back, you can bend in that back knee. And that's going to give you the space to bring the shoulders up over the hips, but just know you're going to be putting more strength work into this back leg than stretch work. Right? So if your heel's pressing back, you're stretching the front thigh, the front left hip flexor. If you're bending in it, you're strengthening it. So, right, it's not like one's better than the other or anything. It's just two different like muscle groups that have to be hit into it. I have a toddler and carrying her exacerbates my upper back and shoulder issues. Ooh, yeah, for sure. You can only carry her on one side at a time, but you have a favorite side. So that's going to build some muscular imbalance. But she's lucky that she has someone like you to carry her around. Alright, so here we are in our high lunge. Deep breath in here. Exhale, fingers interlace behind the head. Release the thumbs coming down the sides of your neck. Press the head into the hands. Hands press back and open up the elbows. Nice shoulder stretch. You tilt the chest up as well. Strong in the legs, they're your foundation. Strong in the hips, keeping it all together. And still we're breathing fully here. Chest opening, shoulder opening stretch. Bring it back upright. Release the hands up overhead. Launch up off of that back foot through Warrior 3 if you don't have a dresser. Through Warrior 3, making a letter T with the body. And then knee comes in towards the nose, bringing it back up to one-legged Tadasana. Fingers can interlace below the right knee. Knees pulling in towards the shoulder. Shoulders, by the way, are relaxed. We're just using bicep strength to pull this knee in. We'll release that knee down to the mat. Cool. Then, hands come to heart center. Left knee pulls in towards the body. We're just using core strength here. Roll up the ankle. Deep breath in. Find your drishti, your focal point for your eyes to land on. And exhale, hinge on the right hip. Head comes down like a seesaw. Left leg reaches back behind you. So it's like I'm making the letter T with my body, keeping my hips square to the best of my ability, and pressing back through the left heel to keep this leg engaged, straight, strong. You can press my hands into the right thigh to help keep the chest lifted. And the gaze is straight down towards the ground, so I'm not arching the neck or anything like that. I'm keeping the nice and long. Deep breath in here. And then exhale, it's a gentle bend in the right knee to float the left foot down. You might adjust the spacing, bring the right knee over the right ankle. I'm pressing back through this left heel to get a stretch in the back leg. Shoulders come up over the hips. And then choosing if you're going to have the back knee bent to make that happen, or keep it straight, but don't be in the middle. Intentionally have the knee bent to bring the shoulders up over the hips, or intentionally have the legs straight and keep that effort pressing back and down to get that nice stretch on this hip. If you're not feeling a stretch on the hip, really bring the left hip forward, right hip back. Keep the hips square to the short end of the mat. Arms sweep up overhead on a deep breath in. And exhale, fingers interlace behind the head. Just change the interlace. The right finger is on top, bring the left index finger on top. So we're just alternating the grip. Releasing thumbs down the sides of the neck. And as the head presses into the hands, hands press into the head. Use that leverage to open up the shoulders. Tilt the chest up a little or a lot. The legs are strong. The hips are strong. They're standing in stillness as we breathe and press the upper body and shoulders with the breath. And returning back up to neutral, hands release. Press into that front leg, lifting up the back leg through warrior three. Knee comes in towards the chest. As we come back upright, one-legged Savasana, fingers interlace below the knee, and using just bicep strength, we're pulling the knee in towards the chest. We'll release this left leg down to the mat. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead. Eyes follow fingertips, full body stretch. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands on shins. And exhale, hands down to the mat. And we'll step it back. Nice big, long step back to a downward facing dog. Fingers are spread wide. Heels are pressed down towards the ground, regardless of whether they touch or not. We'll let the head once again hang heavy. Eyes stay open between the toes or between the knees. Hips are pressed up and back like they're going to touch where the back wall meets the ceiling. And we want the chest to be heavy here. It's like you're trying to get your armpits to touch the ground. So it's a nice long line of energy from wrist to hips. No breaking by bringing an angle into the shoulders. So we want, if anything, the chest to be pressing down to give the shoulders a nice deep stretch. If you can't bring your weight out of the hands, if you can't bring your chest down towards the ground, then give a little bend to the knees, sending the hips back and up behind you. That's going to belly towards the thighs. That's going to give you the space in the shoulders for the stretch. Then we'll come up high onto tiptoes. Gently release down onto the knees. Tabletop. We're coming into puppy pose. So, we walk the hands forward. Knees are hips distance apart. Hips stay over the knees for this. And as we stretch forward, so almost like downward facing dog, same kind of concept.
For the shoulders, we're keeping the hips up over the knees. Palms are pressed to the ground so hard that the elbows lift. And then mouth, chin, or forehead comes centered. I'm trying to bring my chest and armpits down to the ground. I'm really arching in the upper back, like cow pose. But then I'm trying to round in my lower back for cow. So my upper back is doing this. My lower back is trying to do this. So my hips and lower abs are pulling in while everything up, higher than that, is arching up. So first we arch up. So chest and armpits pressing down towards the ground. And then the hips start pressing. You won't even see it, but you'll feel it for sure in your shoulders and your armpits. Breathing fully here. And send the hips back. For child's pose, forehead comes onto the ground, arms sweep straight back behind you, and release gently onto the mat. Just got a breath here in neutral. Hands come underneath the shoulders, back to tabletop pose. Right arm sweeps up towards the sky. And exhale, weave the arm through, landing for thread the needle pose, landing right ear and shoulder onto the ground, back of the arm pressing into the ground. Left hand's pressing the left shoulder open, and still the hips are up over the knees. So you feel a twist in the lower back here, as well as a deep stretch in this right shoulder blade. Then, like pressing rewind, the right arm sweeps up towards the sky. We'll release the hand down to the mat. I'm just going to turn so I can still face the camera and the speaker, the mic rather. Left arm sweeps up on the inhale. And exhale, weave the hand under, landing side of the head and shoulder onto the ground. Pressing this left arm into the ground, stronger or softer to find the sweetest part of the stretch in this left shoulder blade. Right hand's pressing to the ground, keeping the right shoulder open, chest open towards the long side of the mat. This right hand presses into the ground, left arm sweeps up on an inhale, and exhale, hands come down for tabletop pose. Right foot steps up between the hands, left foot steps up between the hands, big toes come to touch. We'll inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale rolls you all the way up to stand. We'll turn to face one another. And we'll start to shake it out. So this is the part that might get loud, Greg. But right now we're just shaking. It's a lymphatic shake part of class. So we're just lifting the heels, letting them kind of slam down with nice bent knees. And the shoulders lift and drop, lift and drop. So just bringing some movement into the body. Just letting the body kind of flop or flail. Get me inhaling and exhaling through the mouth now. audible sighs are invited and encouraged. We're just kind of releasing tension and frustration. We've built up stuck energies in the body. And when you feel like stopping, just double time. All right, we're going to come into our pranayama, or breath of joy. So that's a 4-part breath. It's 3 consecutive inhales through the nose and a big ha out through the mouth for the exhale. So it looks like inhale through the nose, arms sweep forward. Inhale through the nose, arms sweep out. Inhale through the nose, arms sweep forward. And ha out through the mouth, throwing the hands back. Okay. So we got 10 of those. In, 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 ha, in, in, ha, in, ha, ha. Ha! 3 left if you haven't joined in yet. Now's your chance. Ha! Ha! Last one, make it count. Ha! One hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Eyes can close. Just take a moment here to observe what was created, taking your body like a snow globe and giving it a righteous shape. And now we stop to see where that glitter dust settled, what was revealed. What shows up for you when you let yourself take up space, when you let yourself be loud, or what shows up as resistance to stop you from fully participating. Not right or wrong, not good or bad, just something to notice. And gently blink the eyes open. You can take a sip of water or towel off any sweat that may have built up. If you're already on the ground, just stay there. We'll meet you. If not, you can come down with me. Chat over here. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift, hands on shins. And exhale, bending the knees deep, 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 so deep that you come to seated. All right. So there's one more stretch I want us to do. But it's gonna feel so good, so we're gonna do it. All right, so we're just gonna drop both knees over to the right, come back to our tabletop pose. Knees come together, untuck the toes, sit back on the heels, heroes. Arms sweep forward, they reach back, fingers interlace at your lower back. And pulling the hands down and back, shoulders pull away from the ears, deep breath in. Exhale, we hinge forward. Okay, if you are a man or built like a man where your shoulders are heavier than your hips, you're going to want to come down twice as slow as I'm going because you're going to tip forward. All right. Forehead comes onto the ground. And then we're going to lift the hips up, rolling onto the flat part of the head. So I know that you can go further. Like flexibility-wise, of course you can, but we actually want to stop at the flat part of the head. This is a shoulder stretch, not a neck stretch. We reach the hands up and maybe even forward. Mostly we're reaching the hands up and back, pulling the shoulders up and away from the ears. It's called Yoga Mudra pose. Just an opposite stretch on the shoulders than what we have been doing. Just breathing fully here. And send the hips down towards the heels, hands down towards the hips. Sit it back up. Drop the hips off to one side. That looks painful. That stretch, because your shoulders are really tight. Yeah, if your hands don't grip, then I got other things for you. Because getting to here is a win in itself for sure. It doesn't feel painful at all. If it feels painful, then like it is not the right pose for you. There are other poses that it's like no pain, no gain. But I mean they're kind of far and few in between in yoga, just philosophically. But that's not one of them. That should not feel painful. It should feel really relaxing. All right. So here we are. Make sure there's nothing behind you, no pets or water bottles. Hands behind your knees. Belly presses up against the thighs. We'll tilt it back for Urdhva Navasana. So I have 3 points of contact. Left and right sits bones and my tailbone. That's touching the ground, so that's why it's easy to balance. Shins come up parallel to the ground. Deep breath in here. And on the exhale, hands release. Inhale to sustain. And exhale, opens up the angle just a bit, straightens out the legs a bit. Inhale to sustain. Exhale, straightens you out a bit more. Inhale, sustain. Exhale, straightens out the legs. Opens up the angle a bit more. And then just until you're an inch off the ground, another breath here. And then completely releasing down. Arms and legs stretch, full body stretch. How long ago did you cut your dreads? Let's see. On November 8th. I cut them for Extra Life, which is this big fundraiser. I did it live on Twitch. We were raising money for the Children's Miracle Network. We raised $22,000. Oh yeah, baby. The team was like so awesome, the dream team. So I was like, if we make 3,000, then I'll cut my dreads. I'll cut off my dreadlocks. And we raised 22,000. So you know, I had to do it. Wow, very cool. Yeah. Before that, I hadn't cut my hair for 7 years. It's a long time. On my Instagram, you can still find pictures of me with my long hair. All right, we're gonna hug the knees in here. Little rock side to side. That was before I was streaming on Twitch. I was on my husband's channel. There's like a bunch of me streaming video games and stuff with dreadlocks, mostly commentating. Let's be honest, I'm way better as a sports commentator than I am as the actual video game player. I release the feet down to the ground. What time is it? Yeah. So I get a few of these in. Shoulders tuck underneath to support the chest. And then we'll roll the hips up towards the sky. Hips rise, belly rise, chest rises. Head's just looking towards the sky. Just trust that you know what you're doing here. Releasing one vertebra at a time. The hips touch down. So this is a rolling bridge. Inhale raises you up. So you're focusing on lifting one vertebra at a time. Imagine each part of your spine, each little bone in your spine being able to move freely and independently. Even if that's not the reality, even if in your head you know that you have an impingement or you have a stiff part of your spine, it's like the visualization though is of the spine articulating freely and gracefully. Just got one more like this. And when it touches down, just bring the knees in towards the chest and let them roll over to the right, stacking left hip over right hip. Right hand lands on top of left knee and left arm opens up like the letter T, pressing the left shoulder towards the ground for Supta Matsyendrasana, supine spinal twist. And look over this extended left arm to complete the spinal twist. Head comes back up through center, knees come up through center. We'll gently release the knees over to the left. Right hand lands on left hand lands on right knee. Right arm opens up like the letter T, pressing that right shoulder down towards the ground, looking over the right extended hand. The only effort here is of this right shoulder pressing towards the ground. Otherwise, the whole body's relaxed. It doesn't matter if the knees touch the ground, if they touch one another. We'll let the head come back up through center, knees come back up through center. And then just notice, is there any last movement or wiggle or stretch that your body is asking for before we prepare for Savasana, our final relaxation pose, and a little prolonged stillness. Sometimes you got a last wiggle or movement. And now we just let our bodies move through it. It doesn't have to have a fancy yoga name. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. It might just be a random stretch. We're just letting ourselves move intuitively, just asking our body, okay, I keep telling you what to do, what can I do for you? Sometimes the body's going to have more to say than others. Usually it won't answer in words, it'll answer in a feeling. So you just want to roll with it, like no one can see you, you're not streaming to the internet, so you can just move and it doesn't matter what it looks like because it's all Good. It's just you and yourself. If when I ask you what is in between, what resistance is in between you and fully participating, and there's no one else in the room with you, there's no one else in the apartment, it's just you getting in the way of yourself, like this is a great opportunity to practice letting that go. Because a lot of times it is that. We think we fear the judgment of others, but then with the absence of others, it's revealed that we're actually afraid of our own judgment. Because we, generally, are way meaner to ourselves than the rest of the world is to us. Which kind of sucks, because like the rest of the world can be really freaking mean. You know? So, just practice being like, not like, shut up, self, you're mean, right? Like, let's not fight fire with fire. It's just like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. I look dumb right now. Like, I'm still gonna do it, because it feels good. I'm in my cubicle. I wish I could make a yoga space in here. Hey, if you work for a company, not in this moment when I'm upside down, but I've worked for lots of companies and businesses and taught their entire offices like weekly yoga hours and stuff. So I could probably convince your boss to create a yoga space in your office. In a small business. It's a small business. Well, until then, I'll schedule a nice chair yoga, like you were saying, something that you could do at your desk, a little more covert and less obvious than you rolling out a mat in the middle of the hallway. All right, so just wrapping up, whatever those last kind of movements that your body's calling for are. Sounds like a good compromise. 5 peeps in the office. Oh, totally. That's a nice size yoga class. All right. So as we set up here for Savasana, final relaxation pose, what that looks like is legs extended down the length of the mat, feet at least a foot apart, legs so relaxed that the feet naturally splay apart. Hands come to rest down by the sides. Shoulders tuck under to support the chest, palms face open to the sky. Head is neutral, and eyes can close if that's comfortable. That's the invitation. If that's not comfortable, just a soft gaze towards the ceiling is cool. If this brings pain to your lower back, you know that laying flat on your back isn't good for you. You can bend in the knees, bringing the feet to the edges, the outside edges of the mat, and drop the knees in towards center. It's called broken bridge. And then we lift the hips, rounding the lower back, and allowing it to rest. So we're just elongating the spine a bit, and that's going to release any tension from the lower back and shouldn't take any muscular effort to sustain. So traditionally it's with the legs down the length of the mat, but you do what works for you. I'm coming up to seated so that I can more easily lead you through this meditation. You stay laying down or in your preferred Savasana posture. And we'll start this just as we did our grounding meditation with 3 cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, but the shoulders just stay relaxed this time. And allow the breath to continue just in and out through the nose if that's available. Inviting the exhalations to become longer and deeper than the inhalations. Every exhale sinks you deeper and heavier into the ground below, backside of the body, inviting space between top and bottom teeth as the jaw hangs heavy and the tongue falls away from the roof of the mouth. Lips and cheeks relax. Nose and nostrils rest, gently allowing breath to pass through like waves lapping up to shore. Eyes rest heavy in their sockets, eyelids just barely touching. And the space between the eyebrows broadens as all the muscles in the forehead relax. Muscles surrounding the ears, with all their wrinkles and folds, rest all the way into the ear canals. Back of the head, crown, and hairline all rest. Neck and throat release. The shoulders, shoulder blades melt away. Upper arms and elbows relax. Forearms and wrists release. Palms, backs of the hands, knuckles, fingers, fingertips, fingernail beds, whole hands alive with vibration, whole hands alive with creative potential. Rest and integrate all that you practice. Upper back, middle and lower back, rest heavy, supported by the ground below. Chest and belly naturally rise and fall with the breath. Pelvis, glutes, hips, rest heavy, supported by the earth below. Thighs and knees melt away. Calves and shins and ankles relax. Heels, arches, toe ball mounds, tops of the feet, and all of the toes rest heavy. Whole body resting heavy like lead sinking into hot sand. Whole body rests. Whole body rests. Whole body rests.
Notice if in your mind, if only for a moment, there was silence in that inner dialogue. Notice if in your breath there's ease. Notice if in your body the places of tension have found space. The places of restlessness have found peace. Allow for everything that did and did not happen in class today. And know that in yoga, practice makes practice. Nothing more, nothing less. Invite your inhalations to deepen and that feeling of heaviness. Replace with a feeling of lightness and expansion. Every inhale bringing awareness to the surface, front side of your body as fingers begin to wiggle and toes begin to curl. Head gently rocks side to side. Arms reach up overhead for a full body stretch. Let your knees bend and roll over to whichever side feels natural. Landing in a fetal position, you can use that bottom arm as a pillow. Fully released and fully supported by the ground below you. Bring to mind any intention or dedication you set for class today, or take this opportunity to set one now. And if that intention inspires you, take it with you off the mat and into the world. Allow it to affect you and the people around you for the rest of your day. With eyes still closed or gently lowered, press your hands into the ground to come up to a seated position, just like how we started class. Today we worked on a series of wrist resiliency practices as well as a bunch of upper back and shoulder opening positions. The first namaste is said silently to yourself, thanking your body for the effort it put into class. And the second namaste is said out loud to the community that held this space. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who joined me today. I hope you found something that serves you. Oh wow, what is this? I have never seen one of those bowl things before. Feel free to answer any of my questions when you are done. I don't mean to interrupt, very transducing. Oh, namaste, Bodhi, my love. Greg, thank you for being so mindful. Yeah, when I'm like in the middle, it's hard for me to answer, but perfect, really good question. Tibetan singing bowls. Yes, thank you, Bodhi, for sharing the tip information. Never required, but always super appreciated. Tips help me pay for my life. And $5 is get you a recording to class with timestamps to all your favorite parts of class, to the lymphatic shaking, to the movement, to the different meditation practices. And tips are going towards, I'm like super close towards getting crystal singing bowls. So this, Greg, to answer your question, is a Tibetan singing bowl. It's like hammered by hand. And let's see, I got another one over here. Yeah, it's got that nice like wow, wow, wow sound going on. Yeah. So these were gifts to me. Oh, thanks, Greg. Like I said, there's no pressure, but there is undying gratitude. And I'm really glad that that felt trans-like for you, as I like it to be a little bit more, or a lot more chill than like the music that I usually play. I don't want to be like clicking through to find it. And it helps me kind of get into a zone to like lead the meditation as well. There's all these studies about like different megahertz and like frequencies that like help you tap into, like, but I'm not well versed in any of those things. I'm not well versed in any of those things. I just like have had really good personal, individual experiences with the sound of gongs and singing bowls. And right now we're saving up for a crystal singing bowl, which is like the same thing but made out of crystal. It has less of a metallic sound to it, and but still has that like resonating to it. Okay, no pressure. I just always make sure that it goes up before the end of stream. Yes, thank you, Bodhi. I appreciate you so much, because I would probably forget. I have forgotten before you came to save me. No pressure. Felt death plan though. Thank you. Really like the vibe here. Nice slow start to the morning office routine. It's now 10 a.m. here. Oh, are you on the West Coast too? Same. I'm in San Diego. SoCal vibes. So yeah, nice and chill. A lot of the stream is on, we have a few in Mountain Time out in Texas, in Chicago, but most of, yeah, Oregon. Okay, cool, yeah. Most of the stream that checks in on the weekends is in New England and New York. So a couple Florida people who float in every once in a while, but yeah. I need to get up to the Pacific Northwest. It's high on my list. This whole pandemic business has quite interrupted traveling plans, but I did get to see some of Northern California last month, like Chico, and not even Northern California, like Middle California, Mid California, Lake Tahoe. Actually, we were in Nevada for that, but you know what I mean? Very cool. Glad I found you. I'm glad you found us too. So we're here. You know where to find us. We're here every day, same time, same place. 8:30 a.m. your time. I try to get on a couple minutes early, but by 8:30 I'm on. And yes, I'll work out. I'll start sketching out a little chair yoga sequence, and then I'll ask around to see if my other peeps who've reached out to me about that have a preference on date, but I'll make sure it's on a weekday for you. Alright, who's on? Isa Parvati's on, so let's keep these chill vibes going. And by that one, is Streamlabs your preferred place? Some people prefer PayPal. So the link works good because it goes straight to my PayPal or Venmo. Venmo is definitely my preferred place, and then that's just at St. Pierre. So it's my Venmo at Samla St. Pierre is my preferred place, but I didn't know how to link that on Twitch. I'm still kind of new here, so it's connected to my PayPal. Yeah, and then if it asks you what the last 4 numbers are to my phone, it's that. But I don't know. I'm still figuring things out here. We kind of just started as the year started. I guess I'm not gonna be able to use that excuse for much longer since we're in March already. So today's class number 61. So yay. There's certain things that I just have to technologically figure out. So let's keep these good. Thank you for asking though. I really appreciate you. And I appreciate your presence and energy here, because I think you fit right in, and this is good. This is inspiring me to actually write out and sequence a good chair yoga class. Multiple people have asked me for that. Let's read Isa. She practiced with us yesterday. and she's probably about to do Savasana. So if you're just listening from your desk, she's going to be a nice background voice as well. And she teaches half in German, half in English. So I don't know, I find it really relaxing, and I hop into her Savasanas after this class, and I just lay down. So as I said, I appreciate you all. So nice to meet you, Greg. Have a great day, Bodhi. Much love, as always, my friend. And to everyone else just lurking, I love you too.